Hello, book lovers, and welcome back or welcome to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. Today, I will be going through my October TBR, and spoiler alert, it's a little rough. Alright guys, it is already October. It is spooky season in full swing, and I am super excited to be doing this month's TBR, even though it gets a little bit crazy. A few things before we jump into the TBR game. First, I want to go through what I pulled last month and if I completed them to see if I need to take any punishments come November. First, we had a romance novel that needed to be written by a queer author, and I finished The Bones Beneath My Skin by TJ Klune for that. We also needed a historical book with queer characters, and I read Heaven's Official Blessing by Mo Shang Tong Shui for that, and I did complete it. We also had a thriller mystery horror that is under 200 pages, and for that I read The Dumb House by John Burnside, and I did finish this. I also had a punishment prompt, which was to read a classic, so I read 1984 by George Orwell, and this is completed. Then we had a contemporary, which is on my own TBR. Now, this book, while reading it, I realized it's more historical than contemporary, but I did select it for this prompt, and that is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and I did complete this. And the last book was a sci-fi with mental health rep, and I chose The Winter's Orbit, or just Winter's Orbit, and I am currently reading that, and I still have a few days left in the month, so I will definitely be finishing this. A lot of these books were also on my Becca's Bookopoly TBR, and I do have technically 2 more books for that. I'm hoping to maybe get at least partially through 1 more of them, but I'm not taking any punishment prompts for the one that I'm definitely not going to finish by the end of the month, since it wasn't on my personal TBR game. And next, point number 2, I will be getting Kindle Unlimited this month. I don't purchase it every month just because I want to make it worth my money and try to read as many books as possible in 1 month while I do purchase it. So I decided to get it in the month of October, which worked out perfectly because Kayla and Bailey from Kayla Ray Reads and Is Bailey Reading are doing another round of their Squash That series readathon from October 7th through the 23rd, I believe. I will link both of their announcement videos below, and I will be taking part in that, so I will let you know at the end of this video what books specifically I plan on reading for that. But other than that, I have 1 punishment that I need to take this month, so I will go ahead and start out with that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the punishment prompt and then roll number 1. All right, guys, here we are with our board set up as it was at the end of last month's game. I decided last month that I would remove the cards that I pulled, both for the punishment prompt and just the regular prompts, just because I ended up pulling one that I had pulled the previous month, and we just want to mix things up a little. So I'll go ahead and pull those out as I use them, and then of course as I run out, we'll go ahead and add them back in. But we will go ahead and start with the punishment prompt because I do have to use 1 to start off with. We'll just mix these around. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. I do have a lot of books that I want to read this month, so I don't want, you know, anything kind of messing with that. All right. Oh gosh. Okay. So a book from the 10 lowest rated on Goodreads. So this would be a book that is on my Goodreads want to read list and is one of the 10 lowest rated. I will be choosing books that have at least 200 reviews because I think there's one on there that has 0 reviews, so that one won't count. But I do think there was at least one book on that list that I was interested in reading, so this might not be too bad. All right, so for the first punishment that I pull in this game, I guess that's a little bit of a spoiler since it makes it sound like I have to pull more, was 10 lowest rated on Goodreads. So I believe I'll have a little screen here of me kind of scrolling through what the 10 were. I did not count the first one that is listed because there was 0 ratings on it. But I ended up choosing A House at the Bottom of a Lake by Josh Matterman, and this was rated for a 3.21 on Goodreads. I went ahead and grabbed the audiobook for it. It's relatively short. I think it's maybe like 4 hours long, which is perfect considering how many books I'm going to end up with on my TBR. I've heard about this book. I know from Booked and Busy that I heard it from her. And I think this is one of those books that has like a lot of mixed reviews. Like some people really love it, but a lot of people also really hate it. So I do kind of feel drawn to like water-based horror stories just because like deep bodies of water or dark bodies of water, things like that, do make me nervous. So I'm hoping that this definitely plays into that creepy element for me, and that I'm one of the people that enjoy it. Otherwise, I have to admit I don't really know anything about it, like at all. But with a short thriller like this, I feel like that's completely fine. All right then, well, let's go ahead and get into roll number 1. Purple, historical. Okay. We have a 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a historical features mythical creatures. So it's probably going to be like a fantasy and kind of like a historical setting. All right, so for roll number 1, we ended up getting historical and the prompt of having fantastical or mystical creatures featured in the story. Now this one worked out rather great for me because this month I want to read The Company of Fiends by Catherine Moon, which is the second book to the Tempting Monsters series. The first one is A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor. I absolutely love that story. This book is just a companion. I don't believe they're too interconnected or anything like that. So I don't know what kind of monsters will be featured in this, but this is a monster romance. So there will be some sort of mystical, magical men in the story. In the first book, we visit a theater at some point during the story in which humans perform sexual acts on stage with monsters. And in this book, we are following one of the women that work at this theater. I don't know much beyond that, but I absolutely love the found family aspect and of course the smut in the first book. So I'm super excited to be getting to this one as well. All right then, going into roll number 2, romance. Seeing as I'm doing Kindle Unlimited this month, that is usually romance genre for me. Whoops, and she's off the board. Let's grab that. A 6. All right, we finally get to take a red out because lately they've always been in each other's way. 6. A romance. Come here. Location in the title. Okay, well, let's see if we can make that work. Hey guys, it's Editing Natalie here. I just realized that I completely skipped over roll 2. So for roll 2, we got a romance with a location in the title. And for this book, I am selecting Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. I believe this is a queer YA kind of paranormal romance. I don't know how prominent the romance is. But we follow a young trans boy who wants to prove to his family that he's a I don't want to say the word because I'm going to say it wrong, but I think he wants to prove that he's, a real man. So he performs some sort of ritual that ends up bringing about the ghost of a boy that went to school with him. And this boy is not going to leave until he finds out who killed him. So I don't know much else about the story. No surprise, you've heard it 1,000 times, or you will hear it 1,000 times in this video. But yeah, so that is the book that I will be reading. Sorry that I skipped over it, but I have so many books on this TBR. I was bound to forget one. All right, on to roll number 3. Horror mystery thriller, a good month to get, too eager. A good month to get one of those. A 1. Let's see, can't move that one, so we gotta move this one. Or actually, I forgot. Oh gosh, I forgot I have to take one out each time I roll a new one. Woe is me. So that means I gotta kick my green guy back out. And I'll have to take another punishment prompt. Sister pick. Hey, Clea. I'm gonna go ahead and text my sister. I'm not sure if she's awake yet because I'm kind of filming this in the morning. I'll give you the options of what I'm gonna send to her, and I'll let you know what she chooses if I hear back from her. Otherwise, you'll just have to wait until my wrap up. All right, and we got a horror thriller mystery pick for round 3, and it is a sister pick. So I went ahead and texted my sister 4 books that I was interested in. I did Out, I did Annihilation, I did The Family Upstairs, and I did They Never Learn. And she ended up selecting Annihilation because she remembered that I really enjoyed the movie. So thank you, Clea. Especially since this book, I believe, is relatively short. So I went ahead and got it from my library. So hopefully that shows up soon. Now the synopsis, I'm totally going to base it off of the movie because, I'm assuming the movie is at least similar. So this is kind of like a sci-fi horror in which there's some sort of dome that's encasing some sort of jungle, and anyone who goes into the dome has not been returning, and when they go into the dome, no one can communicate with them. So they send in a party of women because they've been mostly sending men in hopes of seeing there's a difference, and we follow these women as they explore the inside of this dome and all the things that occur to them and the land around them while they are there. So I thought it was a really interesting movie, and I hope that it's just as good in book format. All right, and then because I kicked one of my people out, I will have to go ahead and take a punishment. Ah! No! Okay. I have to do an extra 2 rolls. All right, so now we're on roll number 4 out of 7 instead of the usual 5. All right, we got SciFi. And we got a 1. Oops, I forgot to put a thing. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to take another pun. Guys, this is too much. It's too much. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm gonna need a sci-fi that I steal from someone else's TBR. So I'll probably, I don't know if I've seen too many October TBRs yet, so I might look at some September or even maybe check out some people's fall TBRs and steal a book from there. And since we gotta pull another punishment, I might as well just do that now. tome 500 plus. At least I already had a couple books on my TBR that I wanted to read that are 500 plus books because of the Squash That series theme being tomes this time around. All right, we pulled a +2, so this is or was roll 4 out of 7 instead of the second to last roll. But we got a SciFi and we were to steal it from someone else's TBR. So I went out and actually watched Nina from Nina Reads fall TBR, and there she mentioned that she wanted to read Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. And this is luckily a short story. I think I'm doing the audiobook as well, and it's like less than 4 hours. So that's really nice to have another short audiobook on here. This book seems to take place in a world where humans can no longer eat animals because there's some sort of virus or bacteria within the animals that when humans consume it, it kills them. And so the humans then turn to cannibalism, and it just follows, I think, a man who is gifted a human to like keep in a barn, and it just kind of like explores, you know, raising humans like cattle and things like that. It's going to be very gory, really gruesome. We'll see if I'm able to handle it. I myself am not a vegan, but I do often stay away from red meat, and I don't do dairy. And of course, when purchasing things, we try to purchase them from people who treat their animals more humanely. So this might be a little bit triggering, but I have heard really great and interesting things about it, so I am excited to be getting to it. So we also got a punishment prompt, because why not just throw a few more punishment prompts in there. And we got to do a tome 500 plus pages. So initially I thought this was, you know, worked out great because the Squash That series theme is tomes, but then I checked, the book that I was thinking was over 500 pages was only over 400, so it doesn't work for this. And the only other one I had was the Company of Fiends, which I already selected for another prompt. So I decided to put in a request for Harrow the Ninth, which is the second book to Gideon the Ninth. Now it does say that I have like 6 weeks until that comes in, so I'm assuming that I won't be able to read it for the readathon, or maybe even this month. But as far as punishment prompts go, I always need to carry them over into the next month if I do not finish them. But if I do not finish them, I don't need to pull an additional punishment card. I only need to pull punishment cards for not completing the regular prompts. So there's a good chance this may get moved into November, but at least I don't need to stress about not getting, or I don't have to stress about getting another punishment prompt if my hold on it doesn't come in on time. So Harrow the Ninth, I don't know what this book is going to be about, so I'm just going to talk about the first one, where we follow Gideon, who is part of the ninth house, and she gets asked by Harrow to be her cavalier, where they go to the first house in hopes of becoming lectors, I believe. So it's kind of a competition between all these necromancers and their cavaliers, and it turns into more of like a bloodbath murder mystery. I was a little confused throughout the story and probably shouldn't continue with the story via audio book format, but we're gonna go for it. You know, I like the narrator, and we're just gonna hope for the best. Maybe slow down my audiobook just a little. It's 20 hours, so actually I probably won't do that, but wish me luck. I had a lot of fun with the first one, and hopefully will as well with the second. All right, we are moving on to roll number 5 out of 7. Yellow contemporary. 6. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can't move that one. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go ahead and move this guy. Alrighty, so contemporary, an Instagram poll pick. So I'll choose a couple contemporaries that I want to read this month, and go ahead and do a poll on my Instagram. I do polls occasionally, so if you want to follow me there. I haven't been super active, but I am pretty active on my story. All right, so for this role, we got a contemporary and we're doing an Instagram poll pick. So I have put a poll up on my Instagram, so I don't have the results yet. I'm gonna let that sit for about a day or so, but I'll let you know which books I put on there. I did put a Chosen Man on there. I put a Sweet Man on there. I put My Cocky Prince as an option, and then I put They Never Learn. So I couldn't remember if They Never Learn was more historical or if it was like a thriller that took place in contemporary times. But I decided, to put it on there because it was one of the last books on my hopeful list that, kind of fit into that category a little. So you'll either see in a vlog or, of course, in my October wrap up which book I ended up reading. And of course, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I'm not super active on there when it comes to like posting pictures, but I do hang out in my story a lot. So if you want updates on what I'm reading. All right, roll number 6. More historical. 2. Oh, God bless America. Oh. I should have known that when more pieces get on the board, the more likely they are to like knock each other. Cat pick! That almost makes it worth it. Oh. And as you may or may not know, my cat Bowtie passed away this last week, but we do still have Loki, so I will see if I can get him to pick a book for me. But oh man, getting this is kind of breaking my heart a little. All right, so I've selected the 2 books that I'm gonna have Loki choose from. The family actually represents a book that's on Kindle, so I don't have like a physical copy of it, but it represents, I believe it's called The Veins of Magic. So I put some food down for him, and I'm gonna go wake him up and plop him on the floor, and we'll see if he walks to one of them. Oh. The heaviest cat there ever was. You see that? Oh, you're filming the wrong way. All right, it looks like he chose out. All right, so you will have just seen a video of me letting Loki pick what book I want to read. Now, I'm going to be totally honest, when I selected the books, I completely forgot that the genre was supposed to be historical. So if you're like looking at this book and you're like, is that historical? I don't know. It was written in 2003, and as someone who was born in the 1990s, I would hate to say that's historical, but it is coming on to, about 20 years ago. But the book he selected was Out by Natsu Karino. This is a Japanese thriller. I believe it follows a few housewives, one who ends up murdering her husband, and they kind of come together to cover that up. I'm assuming then things spiral from there. Maybe they get more involved in other murders or I don't know, gangs, mafia. I really don't know too much about the story, but I've seen a couple people talk about it. I can't remember if they liked it or not. So we're going in pretty blind, but I am excited to be finally reading this book. I was definitely hoping to read it this spooky season. And then I gotta take another punishment. Like, I don't even know what to do anymore. Worst books of. So I gotta look at someone's worst books of. In this case, I'll do 2021 and see if I can find a book off of that list. All right, we have another punishment. Oh my gosh, there's so many. And the punishment is the worst book of blank. In this case, I did 2021. So I went ahead and watched someone's worst of 2021 video. I'll go ahead and link her video down below. I think her name was Emma, and she was talking about a book called Music of the Night by Angela Ford. I checked it out. It's actually available on Kindle Unlimited, which is perfect. I do love the Phantom of the Opera, but as you may have seen earlier, this book was actually one of the top 10 lowest rated on my Goodreads, so it doesn't seem like it's too well loved, but you know, I like to give my own opinion on books, and so I will go ahead and give that a try. I don't know, you're probably tired of me being like, I don't know what these books are about, but my thing is I kind of like add a book to my TBR, and then oftentimes I just kind of like forget the synopsis. But I'm assuming that it's some sort of Phantom of the Opera retelling, which follows an opera singer who is haunted by the Phantom. And I don't even know if it's YA or if it's an adult, but I guess we will find out when we're reading it. And the final roll, which will hopefully lead to no more punishment prompts, roll number 7, Sci-Fi. 6, so I gotta pull another one out, I think. No, because the Sci-Fi is in the way. Let's go ahead and move this guy. 3, 6, and there's actually 2 prompts in here, so let me get rid of the lower one. All right, a Sci-Fi with plants on the cover. All right, and the final roll and the final book. Yay! We got Sci-Fi with a plant on the cover. I almost chose Annihilation for this book, but then I ended up giving it to my sister as an option, and she selected it, so that is totally fine because I am putting Monstrous Volume 6. There is an arch with some ivy or something. You probably can't see it, but trust me, I was looking very closely at this cover, saying a prayer, and there is a little bit of greenery on this, so I am going to go ahead and count this. I was hoping to finish the series this month, but it seems, at least last time I checked, which was earlier this week, that my library does not have volume 7 yet because it just came out earlier in September, but I will check back with them to see if maybe they got it. But this follows a young woman who is possessed. I don't really want to say possessed, but within her body she holds the monster of what was once thought a dead god. So she has been kind of on the run, just trying to figure out like what path she should take, who she can trust, what allies she should allow to stick around her. And then the last few books, we have really seen a war break out between the different factions. We have humans and witches on one side, and we have these, and you know, descendants of the gods, I can't remember what they're called, creatures that are on the other side, and both sides seem not to be fully good, but I would say that the side of the descendants of the gods is a little bit better, but you know, everyone's morally gray, everyone thinks their side is right, and at the end they're clashing and at war, and people in the middle are dying, so no one looks that good. But yeah, I mean, I've really been enjoying the artwork for sure. Sometimes the story gets a little convoluted. Just for me, it is kind of like a sci-fi East Asian inspired horror, so it is a very graphic, but I am very much looking forward to at least finishing this series soon. All right, so those are the books that were selected by my TBR game. I'm gonna go through the books that I want to read during the readathon. So fingers crossed. I'm so glad that it's going on for 2 weeks because I cannot read a lot in 1 week, but I have a chance. So I'm looking down here. I know I'm reading The Company of Fiends. This book, I know there's a point system. I don't have them all memorized right now, but I believe this one will get me caught up on a series because the third one is not out yet, and I also believe this book is over 500 pages, so I will get additional points for that. I'm hoping to read Monstrous Volume 6. If they happen to get Volume 7 by then and I can finish another series, that would be awesome. But, well, it all depends on if my library gets that volume sooner rather than later. And then the other ones are ones that I currently have in the poll, so I don't know yet if they're on the TBR, but I will definitely be trying to read them during that week, and that is A Chosen Man and A Sweet Man. Both of those books are from the same series, so that would allow me to both continue a series and then finish it. Now this is a self-published series, so I don't know for sure if the series is done forever, but there's no reference to a next book on Goodreads right now, and I think the latest one came out maybe in like 2021. So I'm just going to say for now it's safe that the series is done, and I'm going to count it as a series completed. And at least one of those is on over 400 pages, so that'll get me some additional points. And then a couple other options I have is Veins of Magic. So this is the second book to Heart of the Fae, which I gave 3 stars, I think, 3.5 stars. I didn't love it, but I did want to give the second book a shot before DNFing the series, and I noticed that the second book was on Kindle Unlimited, so I figured I'd take advantage of that and give it a shot, and that'll be a continuation of a series. And then we also have his Cocky Prince, which will be a completion of a trilogy, which is all companion novels. A Chosen Man, A Sweet Man, and His Cocky Prince are all contemporary male-male romances that I've read other books within the companion series and really enjoyed. So I am hoping to finish those up so I can knock out 3 series on my series list. Oh, my throat. That was too many books to talk about. All right, guys, so those are all the books that I'm hoping to read this month. It is quite a lot, so we'll see if I succeed or fail. Make sure you give Kayla and Bailey a follow, and that you go ahead and sign up for the readathon before the 7th so that you can join one of the teams. I'm Team Bailey, so let's go Team Bailey. Oh, I think we're just picking a name, so I don't know what it is yet, but we'll have a different name soon, probably by the end of today. But anyway, let me know down below if you're taking part in the readathon and what team you're on, or let me know what book you're most excited to read in October. But as always, thank you so much for supporting my channel by watching my videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!